Okay, this is kind of funny. I'm going to teach you in this video why I believe you should learn to play the flute before you learn to read music. The reason it's funny is because someone emailed me and said, what beginner learn to play flute book should I use? And I said, oh, I'll do a video on it. So I sat down to prepare this video and it turned into this gigantic rant. So I'm going to tell you the reasons why I believe you should learn to play the flute first and then learn to read music. And next week, I will tell you about which beginner flute book is a good one to use, because obviously learning to read music is an excellent skill. All right, so if that's your first introduction to me, sorry about that. I didn't actually even say who I am. My name is Jane Kavanagh. My business called The Flute Teacher School shows people the tiny little techniques to really improve their flute playing, which is basically the fundamental techniques of playing the skills, because when you get these fundamental things right, everything else falls into place one by one. An example of this is a mini course that I've created where it shows you how to quickly improve your tone by learning 3 tiny changes to make to your embouchure. At the end of this video, I'll show you how to enroll in that free little course. But for now, it's not going to be a rant. It's going to be logical points about why to learn to read. Oh my God. Why to learn to play the flute before you learn to read music. So basically think of this. When we learn our first language, we learn to speak and understand first. And then after we've been doing that for a few years and we go to school, we learn to read and write. So if we mimic that when we're learning to play an instrument, it means a few things will happen to you. You'll learn to listen to what you're doing. The reason it makes you a better musician is because when you learn to listen, it means that you then learn to autocorrect or correct what you're doing, because you can hear, you've learnt to hear what you're playing and you go, oh, that doesn't sound right. Let's focus on that and let's change it. Rather than using just music to go, okay, put finger there, blow, put finger there, blow, hold for 2 beats, then change to that note. If you're learning to play the flute at the same time that you're learning to read music, it shuts off part of your brain that you really need to be able to listen to yourself. The second reason why it's great to learn to play before you learn to read is that it reduces overwhelm. So if you were learning to read at the same time, you would be trying to learn all the tiny little muscle things of your embouchure and what that needs to do, where to put your fingers, how to hold yourself, where to stand, where to look, the combinations of notes, and you get overwhelmed. What overwhelm often leads to is quitting. And I kind of feel like saying, it's not your fault. It's not your fault. You can't learn 50 things all at the same time. So when you learn to play first, you only have 25 things to learn at once, which is still overwhelming in itself. So you've got so many things to coordinate with your body to be able to get a good sound, learn how to put your fingers in the right spot, etc., etc. There's so much stuff. Adding learning to read at the same time is just too much. If I could sum that up, I would say that if you learn to play before learning to read, it means that your learning of the flute and your playing of the flute over your life is going to be sustainable, because you won't feel so overwhelmed that it's too much, or that you don't feel very good or you don't feel very musical. All of that is lies. It's not true. If you take things one step at a time, which is how I teach in the Flute Academy, which is my online program, one step at a time, and you don't feel overwhelmed, and you accomplish little things at a time and continually accomplish little things, you end up learning so much faster than someone who tries to do everything at once. Not only that, you don't burn out and you can keep going for years to come and you enjoy your flute playing for years. Okay, the third and final reason why it's good to learn to play before you learn to read is that you learn to basically have good posture. And I don't mean sitting up straight or standing up straight. I mean, you learn how to hold this strange feeling, asymmetrical, very non-human instrument so that you don't hurt when you play. And again, that word sustainable comes in. You learn to play in a way so that you don't have tension in any parts of your body where it shouldn't be, which ends up causing injury down the track. So you have the attention, like the brain space, when you're just learning to play without learning to read at the same time. You have the brain space to be able to concentrate on what matters. When you have great posture, it means that you're also free to breathe really well, and that serves you down the track as well, years down the track. If you're free to breathe well, you're going to become a much better musician. If you're holding the flute strangely because you're trying to learn how to play notes at the same time or read notes, and this shoulder's tight or this hand's really funny, or you're trying to prop this up, and you're just really just concerned about reading what's on the page, that's going to become a habit. And it's not good for the future. It's not good for your joints, for your ligaments, or for your flute playing, the sound of your flute playing. So they were the 3 reasons why it's good to learn to play first. And that is why you'll notice in all of my videos, in every lesson in the Flute Academy, I don't teach you how to read music. It's an amazing skill. Totally, I'm a big advocate for learning to read music, but it's not what improves your flute playing. So I'm here to teach you how to improve your flute playing. And then as well as that, spend time learning to read music. But that's not my thing. I'm here to teach you how to get better at your flute playing. Okay, so speaking of which, that mini course that I was telling you about, go to www.flute.school/free, and you can enroll there for a free 3-day mini course to quickly improve your tone on the flute. I show you a tiny little tip every day for 3 days. So I'd love to see you there. And if not, I will see you in next week's video where I'm going to be talking about which Learn to Play flute book to use, because there's 2 different types.